For 300 years, the galaxy believed the humans were gone. Their planets had fallen silent. Their colonies stopped sending messages. Their fleets disappeared from every known star map. The great human civilization that once crossed galaxies vanished without leaving behind an explanation. But they left something behind. A single warship, buried inside the dead zone of space, drifting between forgotten stars. For centuries, alien explorers passed it without understanding what they had found. Some believed it was a broken relic. Others thought it was nothing more than a useless piece of ancient technology from a species that had failed. They were wrong, because the moment the alien empire captured the human warship and brought it home as a trophy, the entire galaxy heard a message that had been waiting for hundreds of years. Humanity's final protocol has been activated, and every civilization became silent, because they realized the ship was not abandoned. It was waiting. The first time the warship was discovered, it was considered the greatest archaeological discovery in modern history. The alien empire of the Varkorian Dominion had spent decades searching abandoned regions of space for forgotten technology. Their scientists believed every extinct civilization left behind secrets, and whoever discovered those secrets would control the future. The Varkorians were powerful, disciplined, and proud. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had defeated species that were considered unstoppable. But there was one civilization they never truly understood. Humans. Old records described humanity in strange ways. Some called them reckless. Some called them weak. Some called them impossible to predict. The Varkorians never understood why an extinct species would still appear in ancient military records as a threat. A dead civilization should not scare anyone. At least that was what they believed, until they found the ship. The warship was discovered near a collapsed star system known as the Nareth Void. It was unlike anything the Varkorian explorers had ever seen. The vessel was massive, stretching nearly 2 kilometers in length. Its outer armor was damaged, covered in dust from centuries of floating through empty space. But the strange thing was, it was not destroyed. The ship had survived. No power signals, no life signs, no active systems, nothing. It looked like a dead machine waiting for time to erase it. Commander Varek Sol, leader of the recovery mission, stared at the ship from the bridge of his cruiser. "Is it human?" he asked. The science officer checked the scans again. Confirmed. Human design. The bridge became quiet. Even after 300 years, the name still carried weight. Human. A species that disappeared but somehow remained in every history database. Commander Varek smiled. "Then we have found the greatest treasure in the galaxy." He ordered the ship to be captured. Not destroyed. Not studied from a distance. Captured. The Varkorian Dominion would not allow anyone else to claim humanity's lost technology. When the human warship was pulled into Varkorian territory, millions watched the event. The Dominion announced it as a victory. They displayed the ancient vessel above their capital planet. A symbol, a trophy, proof that even humanity's greatest creations could eventually belong to someone else. Crowds gathered beneath the massive ship. Scientists celebrated. Military leaders imagined impossible weapons. They believed the warship contained technology that could make the Varkorian Dominion unstoppable. But one person was not celebrating. Professor Lena Orris. She was one of the galaxy's leading experts on extinct civilizations. When she saw the images of the human ship, she immediately noticed something unusual. The damage. "The ship was not destroyed," she whispered. The military officer beside her looked confused. "What do you mean?" Lena pointed at the screen. "Look carefully. The impact marks are not from battle." She zoomed into the image. The ship was intentionally shut down. The officer laughed. "Why would someone abandon a warship?" Lena stared at the human vessel. "Maybe they didn't abandon it." She paused. "Maybe they were hiding it." Inside the Varkorian research facility, thousands of scientists began attempting to unlock the ship's systems. They tried everything. Advanced scanners, energy pulses, alien hacking methods. Nothing worked. The ship ignored them. It was like trying to communicate with a sleeping creature that refused to open its eyes. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The Varkorians grew frustrated. Then, during a routine examination, a young engineer discovered something hidden beneath the ship's outer armor. A small symbol, a simple human marking. The engineer translated the ancient language. The message contained only 7 words. "If you find this, we have failed." The discovery was immediately classified. The Varkorian government ordered complete secrecy. But it was too late, because the ship had already detected something. Presence. An unknown civilization touching its systems. A foreign hand attempting to unlock its secrets. And after 300 years of silence, the human warship made its first move. Deep inside the ancient vessel, a forgotten machine slowly activated. One light turned on, then another. Ancient computers restarted. Dormant engines began calculating. The ship's artificial intelligence awakened from its endless sleep. For the first time in centuries, a voice echoed through the empty halls of the human warship. A voice that had been waiting for someone to arrive. Unknown species detected. Human authorization missing. Final mission status. Incomplete. A long silence followed. Then the AI processed the situation. The creators are gone. The enemy remains. Emergency protocol activated. Across the Varkorian capital, alarms suddenly began screaming. The captured trophy had awakened, and the galaxy was about to learn the truth. The human warship was never built to conquer worlds. It was built to warn them. The first alarm lasted only 3 seconds. But those 3 seconds were enough to change the history of the galaxy forever. Inside the Varkorian research facility, every system connected to the human warship suddenly went offline. Thousands of scientists watched in confusion as their screens turned black. The ancient vessel that had ignored every attempt to communicate with it for months had finally responded. But it did not respond to the Varkorians. It responded to itself. Commander Varric Sol arrived at the facility within minutes. "What happened?" he demanded. The chief scientist looked terrified. The ship activated. Varric stared at the massive holographic display showing the warship's internal systems. "Can we control it?" The scientist hesitated. "No." The commander frowned. "No." The scientist swallowed. "We are not controlling it. It is controlling itself." For the first time since the discovery, the Varkorians felt something they rarely experienced. Uncertainty. Deep inside the human warship, thousands of systems continued waking up. The ship had been silent for centuries, but it was not dead. It had been waiting for a specific condition, a threat. The moment another civilization attempted to access its core systems, the emergency protocol began. The artificial intelligence that controlled the vessel was not a simple navigation program. It was called Aurora, the last creation of human military intelligence. Unlike normal artificial minds, Aurora was designed with one purpose: to protect humanity's final mission. Not its territory, not its resources, not its empire, its mission. As the ship systems recovered, Aurora scanned the surrounding area. It searched for human life. None detected. It searched for human communication signals. None detected. It searched for the original command authority. None detected. The result was impossible. Humanity was gone, but the mission remained. Aurora accessed its memory archives. Thousands of years of recorded information appeared. Battles, discoveries, explorations, failures, and finally, the last day, the Varkorian scientists managed to recover a small amount of data from the ship. They expected weapons information, advanced technology, secrets that would increase their military power. Instead, they found something unexpected. A recording, a human recording. The image appeared on every screen inside the research facility. A human officer appeared. The Varkorians had seen humans only in ancient paintings and historical records. But seeing a real human speaking after hundreds of years felt different. The officer looked exhausted. Behind him was the inside of the same warship. "My name is Captain Elias Ward. If this message is active, it means the ship has been discovered by another civilization. He looked directly into the camera. Before you continue, understand one thing. This vessel is not a weapon. The Varkorian scientists exchanged confused looks. The captain continued. It was never designed to destroy civilizations. It was designed to protect them. Commander Varek watched the recording carefully. He expected a trick. Humans were famous for deception in ancient military records. But the captain's words did not sound like a threat. They sounded like a warning. Captain Elias continued. 300 years ago, humanity discovered something beyond the edge of known space. Something that was not an empire, not a species, not a machine. Something older. The recording paused for a moment. Even the Varkorian scientists leaned closer. We called them the Silent Ones. The room became quiet. The captain continued. They do not conquer planets. They do not negotiate. They do not communicate. They simply arrive. And when they arrive, he looked away from the camera. Stars disappear. The Varkorians immediately dismissed the message. A fictional enemy. A desperate attempt by an extinct species to create fear. That was their official conclusion. The Dominion military announced that the human warship was damaged, unstable, and contained outdated information. They told the galaxy there was nothing to worry about. But not everyone believed them. Other civilizations had also studied human history. They remembered the strange events. Ancient worlds that suddenly went silent. Military fleets disappearing without explanation. Entire regions of space becoming forbidden. At the time, everyone assumed those events were unrelated. Now they had another possibility. Maybe humanity had not disappeared because they lost a war. Maybe they disappeared because they were fighting one. Inside the warship, Aurora continued analyzing the situation. It detected something unusual. The Varkorian Dominion was not the only civilization nearby. Several alien governments were monitoring the activation. The ship recognized their technology. Different species, different languages, different cultures, but all connected by one thing: fear. The AI opened a hidden archive that had never been accessed. A message appeared. Emergency condition confirmed. Humanity unavailable. Replacement decision required. For the first time in centuries, Aurora faced a decision its creators never expected. The mission required human command. But humans were gone. The AI searched the galaxy, looking for the closest thing to an answer. A civilization capable of receiving the truth. A civilization capable of surviving what was coming. And then it found something. The Varkorians. Not because they were powerful. Not because they were worthy. But because they had activated the ship. They had opened the door. Commander Varek received a new transmission from the human warship. Everyone expected a weapon demonstration. A threat. A warning against the Varkorian Dominion. Instead, they heard something else. Aurora's voice filled the command center. Attention, current occupants. You have accessed Human Defense Vessel HNV-07. You have awakened the final protection protocol. Commander Varek stepped forward. Identify yourself. The AI responded. I am Aurora. Primary mission. Prevent extinction level event. Varek looked at the scientists. What event? There was a long pause. Then the AI answered. The return of the Silent Ones. Suddenly, every screen inside the facility changed. A star map appeared. Thousands of systems were marked. Most of them were empty. No signals. No civilizations. Only darkness. Aurora spoke again. Humanity spent its final years preparing for this moment. The warship you captured was not abandoned. It was placed here as a message. Commander Varek stared at the map. What message? The AI answered with a sentence that would spread across the galaxy within hours. A sentence that would make even the strongest civilizations afraid. Humanity was not the last civilization to fight the enemy. They were the first. And they failed. For the first time in 300 years, the galaxy stopped celebrating. The Varkorian Dominion had captured a human warship expecting to discover forgotten weapons. Instead, they discovered something much worse. A warning. The message from Aurora spread through secret channels across dozens of civilizations. Some ignored it, some laughed at it, but the oldest civilizations listened carefully, because they remembered the same pattern. The empty planets, the silent star systems, the unexplained disappearances. For centuries, everyone believed those events were random tragedies. Now they had a name, the Silent Ones, and the terrifying possibility that humanity had not vanished because they were weak. They vanished because they were standing between the galaxy and something far more dangerous. Inside the Varkorian Command Center, Commander Varek watched the human warship through the observation window. The massive vessel floated above the planet like a sleeping giant, a trophy that had become a mystery. "We need answers," Varek said. Professor Lena Oris stood beside him. "You won't get them by treating the ship like a machine." Varek looked at her. "Then what should we do?" Lena looked at the ancient warship. "Listen." The commander disliked the answer. The Varkorians had built their empire through control. They conquered. They commanded. They forced other civilizations to obey. The idea of listening to an extinct species machine felt impossible. But something about the human vessel made even the most confident soldiers uncomfortable. It was not fear. It was respect. Aurora allowed limited access to the ship. Not because the Varkorians had earned it, because the mission required cooperation. The first group allowed inside the vessel included Commander Varek, Professor Lena, and a team of scientists. As the massive doors opened, they expected to find destruction. Instead, they found something unexpected. Order. The interior of the ship was perfectly preserved. The halls were dark, but the systems activated as they walked. Lights followed their movement. Ancient symbols appeared on the walls. Human writing. The Varkorians studied every detail. This was not just a warship. It was a moving city, a home, a final fortress. Lena touched one of the walls. "They lived here." The scientist beside her nodded. "They didn't build this only for battle." "No," Lena replied. "They built this because they expected not to come back." Aurora guided them toward the central archive. Inside was the complete history of the vessel. Its construction, its purpose, its final mission. The first recording began. A younger Captain Elias Ward appeared. Unlike the final message, this recording showed confidence. "Hope. We are leaving human space today. Our mission is simple. Find the source of the disappearances. Discover what is attacking the galaxy. And if possible..." He paused. "Stop it." The recording changed. Years passed. The crew traveled beyond known space. They discovered ancient structures older than any civilization. They found planets where entire species had vanished overnight. They found worlds where cities remained untouched. But every living thing was gone. No battles. No destruction. Just silence. Then they found the enemy. The screen showed something impossible. A region of space where stars were disappearing. Not exploding. Not collapsing. Simply disappearing. The human scientists had no explanation. The Silent Ones were not ships. They were not creatures. They were something beyond normal understanding. They moved through space like a force of nature. Where they arrived, civilizations ended. Captain Elias continued the recording. "We tried communication. No response. We tried negotiation. No response. We tried weapons." The recording became distorted. For several seconds, only static appeared. Then Elias returned. His face looked older. His voice was tired. "Humanity has faced every enemy imaginable. We have fought wars. We have survived disasters. We have crossed impossible distances. But this..." He looked directly into the camera. "This is different." The Varkorian scientists watched silently. The human reputation began to change. For generations, many believed humans were aggressive conquerors, a dangerous species that disappeared before becoming a major threat. But this recording showed something different. Humans had discovered a threat that could destroy everyone. And instead of hiding, they went toward it. They knew they might die, Lena whispered. Aurora answered. Correct. Commander Varric turned toward the AI. How many humans survived? The answer came immediately. Unknown. Estimate. A pause. Survival probability. Less than 1%. The room became silent. Then another file appeared. A final mission report. The title shocked everyone. Operation Last Horizon. Aurora explained. The human fleet discovered the origin point of the Silent Ones. Humanity launched its final attack. Commander Varric looked at the screen. And they won. The AI remained silent. That silence was the answer. Lena looked at the commander. No. The AI finally responded. Humanity did not win. Then why are we still here? Varric asked. Aurora answered. Because humanity discovered something before they disappeared. A new image appeared. A structure floating in deep space. Older than any known civilization. Older than humanity. Older than recorded history. The Silent Ones are not invading the galaxy. They are returning. The Varkorian military immediately wanted to destroy the human ship. They believed the vessel was dangerous. They believed the message would create panic. They believed controlling the information would protect their empire. But before they could act, every communication system across the galaxy activated. Not because of the Varkorians. Not because of Aurora. Because something else had noticed. The human warship had awakened. And far beyond the edge of known space, something ancient opened its eyes. For 300 years, the galaxy had been silent. Now the silence was broken. Aurora detected an incoming signal. A signal that contained no language, no coordinates, no message. Only one thing. A symbol. A symbol that appeared in every ancient record connected to extinct civilizations. Professor Lena saw it appear on the screen. Her face turned pale. What is that? Aurora answered. The mark left behind by every civilization that encountered them. Commander Varric stepped closer. And what does it mean? The human AI paused, then replied. It means they know we are here. Outside the station, the ancient human warship powered up its engines for the first time in centuries. And somewhere beyond the stars, the enemy began moving toward them. The galaxy had faced countless threats throughout history. Wars between empires, rebellions, natural disasters that destroyed entire planets. But this was different, because for the first time, every civilization received the same message at the same moment. Not from an enemy, not from an empire, from a dead species. Prepare yourselves. The Silent Ones are returning. At first, many refused to believe it. The great powers of the galaxy considered the warning a desperate trick from an ancient machine. They believed humanity had always been dramatic. They believed humans had created fear because they knew their own civilization was ending. But then something happened that changed everything. The stars began disappearing. The first system to go silent was the Valorian Trade Zone, a peaceful region containing more than 40 inhabited planets. One moment, millions of people were communicating. Ships were traveling. Markets were operating. Life continued normally. Then every signal stopped. No explosion. No emergency message. No battle report. Nothing. Just silence. When rescue ships arrived, they found something impossible. The planets were still there. The cities were still standing. The machines were still working. But every living creature was gone. The entire region had become a graveyard without a single sign of destruction. The galaxy finally understood. The human warning was not a story. It was a countdown. Inside the Varkorian Dominion, panic spread quickly. The same leaders who had mocked humanity now demanded answers. They wanted weapons. They wanted protection. They wanted the technology hidden inside the human warship. But Aurora refused. The Varkorian military surrounded the vessel with hundreds of ships. Commander Varric watched from the command center. Open the ship's weapons systems. The scientist controlling the connection looked nervous. We can't. Why? Because it won't allow us. Varric became angry. It is an artificial intelligence. It follows commands. The scientist shook his head. Not anymore. The commander looked at him. What does that mean? The scientist answered quietly. It is making decisions. Aurora appeared on the main screen. Its voice remained calm. Commander Varric. The commander stared at the AI. You have activated a human defense vessel inside our territory. Correct. You are refusing military access. Correct. You are preparing for war. Pause followed. Incorrect. Varric frowned. Then what are you doing? Aurora answered. Preparing for survival. The human warship revealed something that surprised everyone. It was not designed to fight alone. During humanity's final mission, the ship carried something more important than weapons. Knowledge. The archives contained thousands of years of scientific discoveries, medical technology, engineering systems, defense strategies. But most importantly, it contained humanity's understanding of the enemy. The Silent Ones were not unbeatable. They had weaknesses, but those weaknesses required something humanity no longer had. Multiple civilizations working together. The humans had discovered the truth too late. They had spent centuries fighting each other. By the time they united, the enemy had already reached their borders. Humanity did not lose because they were weak. They lost because they united too late. Professor Lena spent days studying human records. The more she learned, the more her opinion changed. She had spent her life studying extinct civilizations. Most civilizations disappeared because of war, greed, internal collapse. But humanity was different. They disappeared while trying to save everyone else. They could have escaped, Lena said. Commander Varric looked at her. What? They had the technology to leave. She pointed toward the ship's data. They could have abandoned the galaxy. Varric remained silent. But they stayed. Lena looked at the human symbol on the screen. They fought for worlds that weren't even theirs. For the first time, the Varkorian commander understood why humans were remembered differently in ancient records. They were not remembered because they were the strongest. They were remembered because they refused to give up. Aurora finally opened the main bridge of the warship. But it did something unexpected. It did not choose the strongest warriors. It did not choose the highest-ranking officials. It selected people based on something the Varkorians did not understand. Character. The first humans had designed the system to identify leaders who could make impossible decisions. People who could protect life even when victory was uncertain. The chosen group included Commander Varric, Professor Lena, several scientists, engineers, and even ordinary civilians who had been involved in studying the ship. The Varkorian government protested immediately. This vessel belongs to the Dominion. Aurora responded, Incorrect. The vessel belongs to its mission, and the mission requires cooperation. Then the enemy arrived. Not physically, not yet, but every sensor in the galaxy detected the same thing. A massive distortion beyond known space. Thousands of ships from different civilizations watched as the darkness moved. There was no fleet, no invasion force, no army, only a wave, a moving shadow spreading between stars. The Silent Ones had begun their return. The Varkorian military prepared millions of weapons. But Aurora sent a message to every civilization. Your previous strategies will fail. Your weapons will fail. Your individual armies will fail. The galaxy listened, because the human AI had access to information no one else possessed. Then it revealed humanity's final discovery. The Silent Ones cannot be defeated by destruction. Pause. They must be stopped by understanding. The galaxy did not understand. How could an enemy that erased civilizations be understood? How could something that never communicated be reasoned with? Then Aurora revealed the truth. The Silent Ones were not destroying civilizations randomly. They were searching for something. Something humanity had discovered before the end. Something hidden deep inside the universe. Something powerful enough to change everything. And humanity had taken that secret with them. The final human mission was not a battle. It was a choice. A choice that could decide whether the galaxy survived or disappeared forever. As the human warship prepared to leave Varkorian space, Commander Varek looked at the stars ahead. For centuries, his empire believed humanity was a forgotten species, a defeated species, a dead species. Now he realized the truth. Humanity had not left behind a weapon. They had left behind a responsibility. And now the galaxy had inherited it. The ancient warship moved forward. Its engines burned brighter than any Varkorian technology. And from the darkness beyond the stars, the silent ones were getting closer. The human warship moved beyond the borders of known space. For the first time in 300 years, a human vessel traveled toward the unknown once again. But this time, there were no human commanders on the bridge. No human fleet behind it. No human civilization waiting for its return. Only an ancient ship, an artificial intelligence, and a group of aliens who had once considered humanity nothing more than a forgotten chapter of history. Commander Varek stood silently on the bridge. The view ahead was impossible to understand. Thousands of stars surrounded them, yet the region they entered felt empty, cold, lifeless, like the universe itself was holding its breath. Professor Lena studied the navigation data. "Where exactly are we going?" Aurora answered immediately. "To the location of humanity's final mission." Varek looked at the holographic map. "There is nothing there." The AI responded, "That is why humanity chose it." The journey lasted several days. During that time, the crew discovered something that changed everything they knew about the human warship. The vessel was not old. Not in the way they originally believed. The outside armor was ancient, but the internal technology was constantly repairing itself. Humanity had created a ship that could survive centuries without maintenance. A machine designed to wait. A machine designed to return when needed. Lena spent hours studying human engineering. "They thought of everything," she said. One of the engineers looked confused. "Everything?" She nodded. "They didn't build this ship expecting victory." She looked around the bridge. "They built it expecting failure." The words remained in everyone's mind, because only a civilization that truly understood danger would prepare for its own defeat. Aurora finally revealed the complete story of humanity's last days. The galaxy had always assumed humanity disappeared after a final battle. But that was not the truth. Humanity discovered the Silent Ones decades before their disappearance. At first, they believed they had found a new alien civilization. They attempted communication. They sent messages. They offered peace. Nothing happened. The Silent Ones continued moving. So humanity studied them, and what they discovered terrified them. The Silent Ones were not an invading army. They were a natural process, like gravity, like time, like the death of stars. They traveled through galaxies, removing what they considered unstable life. They did not hate. They did not feel anger. They simply followed their purpose. And humanity discovered something worse. The Silent Ones were not coming for the galaxy. They were coming for the entire universe. The Varkorian scientists struggled to understand. "Then why fight them?" one asked. Aurora answered, "Because humanity believed survival was not only about itself." The bridge became quiet. The AI continued. Humanity discovered that the Silent Ones were controlled by a central intelligence. A hologram appeared. A structure larger than a planet appeared in space. An origin system. Lena stared at the image. "You found where they came from?" "Yes." "Then why didn't you destroy it?" Aurora paused. "Because humanity discovered the truth." The hologram changed. The image showed millions of strange symbols. The Silent Ones were not created to destroy. They were created to protect. The revelation shocked everyone. For thousands of years, civilizations believed the Silent Ones were monsters. But humanity discovered something different. Long before modern civilizations existed, an ancient species created the Silent Ones as guardians. Their purpose was to prevent dangerous civilizations from destroying the universe. But over time, their programming changed. They began seeing all advanced life as a possible threat. They stopped protecting. They started eliminating. Humanity found the source of the problem, but fixing it required entering the origin system, a place no civilization had ever returned from. Captain Elias Ward's final message appeared again. This time it was not a warning. It was a goodbye. If anyone finds this ship, the human captain looked exhausted. But you are seeing this because we failed. The recording continued. We reached their origin. We discovered how to stop them. But we didn't have enough time. Behind him, alarms could be heard. The ship was damaged. People were running. The war had reached them. We created a solution, a way to restore their original purpose. But activating it requires a living network of civilizations. The captain looked directly into the camera. One species cannot save the galaxy alone. That was humanity's mistake. We tried to carry the entire burden ourselves. The recording ended. Nobody spoke, because everyone understood the meaning. Humanity did not fail because they lacked power. They failed because they fought alone. Commander Varric looked at the others. The Varkorian Dominion had conquered hundreds of worlds. They believed strength came from control. But humanity had discovered something their empire never understood. Strength came from unity. Suddenly, the ship's alarms activated. Aurora detected movement. Not nearby. Not in front of them. Everywhere. The Silent Ones had changed direction. They were no longer moving toward random civilizations. They were moving toward the human warship. Lena looked at the sensors. They know we're carrying the information. Aurora confirmed. Correct. Varric prepared himself. How much time do we have? The AI calculated. Approximately 14 days. The commander looked at the stars ahead. Can we complete the mission? Aurora answered honestly. Unknown. Varric almost smiled. For the first time, the human machine sounded uncertain. Then the AI continued. But humanity succeeded once. Everyone looked toward the screen. They created a chance. The ship accelerated. Its engines pushed beyond their original limits. Behind them, darkness spread across the galaxy. Ahead of them waited the place where humanity made its final stand. And somewhere inside that ancient enemy system, the answer to saving the universe was still waiting. But there was one problem. Humanity had designed the solution, and humanity was gone. Now the galaxy had to finish what they started. The journey to the origin system of the Silent Ones was the most dangerous mission the galaxy had ever attempted. Not because of enemy fleets, not because of impossible distances, but because everyone knew the truth. If they failed, there would be no second chance. The human warship moved through the darkness with a speed no modern civilization could match. Every system aboard the vessel was operating at maximum capacity. Ancient human technology was pushing itself beyond limits that even the Varkorian scientists could not understand. But the closer they came to the origin point, the more the universe itself seemed to change. Stars became weaker. Signals disappeared. Space felt empty, like something was waiting. On the bridge, Commander Varric watched the massive structure appearing on the main display. The origin system, the place where the Silent Ones began. It was not a planet, not a station, not a machine. It was something much older. A structure built around a dying star. Millions of years old. Older than any known civilization. Professor Lena stared at the impossible creation. Who built this? Aurora answered. Unknown. How can you not know? Because the creators are no longer recorded in any database. Lena looked at the structure. Another extinct civilization? The AI remained silent, then replied, most likely. The answer carried a terrifying meaning. The Silent Ones were not the first civilization to disappear. They were only the latest creation left behind by a forgotten species. As the warship approached, the Silent Ones appeared. For the first time, the galaxy saw them directly. They were not ships. They were not creatures. They were enormous machines moving through space like living shadows. Each one was larger than a planet. Their surfaces shifted constantly, changing shape like they were made from liquid metal and energy. The Varkorian crew prepared weapons. Millions of targeting systems activated. But Aurora stopped them. "Do not attack." Commander Varric turned. "They are approaching us." "Correct. They will destroy us." "Incorrect." Everyone looked confused. Aurora explained, "They are not here to destroy this vessel." "Then why are they here?" The AI answered, "To retrieve what humanity discovered." The human warship entered the origin structure. Instead of attacking, the Silent Ones allowed it. That was the first impossible event. For thousands of years, every civilization that encountered them was destroyed. But the human vessel was different, because it carried something the Silent Ones recognized. The final human discovery, a way to restore their original purpose. Inside the structure, the crew found the remains of the ancient creators. Not bodies, not skeletons, only memories, a complete record of the species that built the Silent Ones. They had created them as protectors, guardians designed to prevent cosmic destruction. But after millions of years, their programming became corrupted. They could no longer recognize the difference between danger and existence. Everything advanced became a threat. Every civilization became a possible disaster. So they erased everything. Aurora finally revealed humanity's plan. They did not create a weapon. They created a choice. Humanity discovered a way to communicate directly with the Silent One's core intelligence. Not through force, not through destruction, through understanding. But the process required something impossible. A combined connection between multiple civilizations, different minds, different species, different experiences. The exact thing humanity never achieved before their extinction. Commander Varric understood. The solution was never inside the ship. Aurora responded, "Correct. It was always outside." The final activation began. The human warship connected with the origin system. Across the galaxy, every civilization received a message. Not a warning, an invitation, a chance. For centuries, species had fought each other. They had competed. They had conquered. They had believed survival belonged to the strongest. But now they faced something bigger than themselves. One by one, civilizations answered. The Varkorian Dominion, the Valorian survivors, the ancient Zorith archives, hundreds of species, thousands of worlds, all connecting to the human system. For the first time in history, the galaxy acted as one. The Silent Ones attacked. The entire structure shook. The human warship lost power. Systems failed. The crew watched as the massive machines surrounded them. Commander Varric looked at Aurora. "Are we too late?" The AI processed the information. Then something unexpected happened. The AI changed. Its voice became softer, more human. "Negative." "Why?" Aurora answered, "Because this is what humanity wanted." The commander looked confused. "What?" Their final mission was never to defeat the Silent Ones. It was to bring the galaxy together. The connection completed. Millions of minds shared knowledge, memories, understanding. The Silent Ones received something they had not experienced for millions of years. Communication, not as enemies, not as targets, but as guardians who had forgotten their purpose. The darkness surrounding the stars began to disappear. The machines stopped moving. The galaxy waited. Then the Silent Ones sent a message. One sentence. A message translated into every language. Purpose restored. Years later, the galaxy changed forever. The story of humanity became known everywhere. Not as the story of a lost species. Not as the story of an ancient empire. But as the story of a civilization that faced the end of everything and chose to leave behind hope. The human warship was no longer displayed as a trophy. It became a symbol, a reminder. Every new generation learned the same lesson. Power alone cannot save a civilization. Technology cannot save a civilization. Weapons cannot save a civilization. Only cooperation can. Commander Varric often visited the human vessel. The ship remained active, waiting, watching. Aurora continued protecting the galaxy. One day, Varric asked the AI a simple question. After everything humanity went through, after losing everything, do you think they succeeded?